Hey everybody, it's me, Angela Walters, and welcome to my weekly live chat. I have to say, I missed you all last week. Of course, we weren't going live because of Thanksgiving, but it's so good to be back. And I hope wherever you are, that it's warmer than it is here. It's a little bit chilly in Kansas City. We were just kind of talking in the type chat before I went live, like, oh, where can we go that's tropical? Anyways, I'm super excited you're here to hang out with me for a little while talking about one of my favorite things. And as always, Jessica is behind the computer monitoring the chat. So if you have any questions, be sure to type them out and she'll get those to me. I'll try to answer them at the end. Now, today's live chat, I have not one, but two giveaways. And to enter the giveaway, all you have to do is leave a comment and Jessica will pick two lucky winners. I don't know if I told you that, Jessica, but she's pretty good at going on the fly. And, you know, I'm going to say it probably helps if they say something nice about you, don't you think? Like if they're like, oh, no. Anyway, I'll tell you what those giveaways are here in a second. And then I have a little bit of behind the scenes stuff to show, some updates, and then some questions that came up in the type chat before. So this is a little bit more of a laid back kind of chat than normal. But first of all, let's talk about what the giveaways are. So we're in the middle of a Cyber Week sale. You know, gotta have the deals, you know, after Thanksgiving. I myself have been shopping a lot online, love it. There's a link in the description box below that will take you to these deals, but we have plenty of sales. But the two giveaways, I had the Floral Frames bundle. So it's the big and small panel for $40. And I'm going to give this away to one lucky viewer. And then next we have the fillers bundle. And so the fillers bundle is the panel and the border. So two lucky winners, leave a comment and we'll pull those at the end. And like I said, if you want to check out all the deals, you can click the link in the description box below. Because, I mean, who doesn't love a deal? Now, I got to be honest, I had originally planned on doing this live chat and having it be about things I'm thankful for, kind of going back over my career and like the people that have really impacted. It was going to be like a cool like presentation, but it did not happen. Best intentions, right? But I have good news. The reason it didn't happen is because on Monday, Santa arrived with our shipment of fabric for the upcoming Free Motion Challenge Quilting Along. So that challenge, you know, is where we're going to be quilting this panel starting in January with some different rulers. And if you have listened to my live chats, you already know kind of what I'm talking about. But starting January 13th, well, we kind of announced this a month or so ago, and the products were available for pre-order. So what happens is when you pre-order the products, it kind of goes into a holding pattern and we wait, you know, on bated breath for the fabric to arrive. And so we were waiting on the panels, the big one and the little one, as well as all the other products. So the mini panel, as well as like the backing and the borders and all that stuff. So that kind of stuff, we were like waiting for it. And then here comes Monday and it arrives. You guys should have seen it in my car. My car could not be filled any fuller. So the last few days, we've been cutting our brains out. cutting, shipping. So if you placed a pre-order, those are starting to roll out. In fact, the UPS man is going to show up today and be like, what is going on? So that's what has kind of kept us kept me from putting together my presentation. But I thought, you know, it'd be fun if I'm thinking along the lines of what am I thankful for, the behind the scenes and the people that make this happen. So took some pictures over the last couple of days, like, this is the craziness that we have to go with. So in our event center, this is a couple blocks away from our shop in downtown Liberty, almost said downtown Kansas City, not where our shop is. Anyway, our event space is where our offices are, we hold our events, but also where we fill all our online orders. So in here, I thought it was just a quick little video. You can see me kind of walking into our cutting room. Now, depending on the time of year or what's going on, this room looks totally different. But since we are smack dab in a cutting frenzy, however you want to say it, this is where I've spent a lot of the last 4 days. So the fabric comes in on these big rolls and we cut and we cut and we cut and we stack and we stack and we stack over here and just kind of get all those orders ready to get out. It's kind of a crazy time, I'm not gonna lie, because, you know, like everything gets put on hold. Like, you know, if you're waiting on an email, you'll get one soon, I'm sure, but it's like cutting all that fabric. But I kind of like it. There's something very like gratifying about having the fabric come in and cutting it up. So then after it gets cut, then I start packaging the order. So we're pulling on all the orders together and playing some music and eating some food and doing whatever. But again, crazy time. If you're ever, you know, want to come over and help fill orders, I'm just kidding. I like to tell people if they hang out with me too long, they get put to work, but that's just a joke. So here I'm kind of filling the orders as we're going. So that's what I've been doing the last couple days. But I couldn't do this all myself, of course. I need a lot of help, and I have so much great help, not just promoting, the video series, not just at the shop, but the people that have to actually help ship the orders. So here's Joni, helping package. You can see all the bags and orders in there. I think sometimes it's really difficult to be friends with me or work with me because you just never know what a day is going to entail. Tons of orders, packaging them up. Hopefully, we're aiming for 100%, accuracy. But hopefully, if there's any mistakes, that's my fault because I backed up most of them. And there's Jessica. Sorry, I didn't tell her she was going to put this picture of her, but she's labeling the orders. So it's kind of like a production line, a production kind of thing, and lots of fun. So a lot of orders in the hallway going out today. And so you'll start to get those notifications if you are, if you've placed your order. Again, more of those orders. Very fun. It's so humbling to me because I remember starting the Free Motion Challenge. I don't even remember how many years ago it's been, maybe 2017-ish, around there, and it was just like a whim. Like, I was in a hotel room in Denver, bored, and I thought, ooh, maybe I'll start a video series and we'll call it the Free Motion Challenge Quilting Along. It was really kind of like a last-minute thing, and so last minute I didn't tell my husband I was doing it or my staff, and so then they're like, what is this thing? And to think that's grown to this kind of situation. As I was filling orders, I just was so grateful for everybody that watches the videos, that places the orders, and I just sometimes can't believe I get to do this as a job. So I won't get all emotional on you, but I'm just saying, like, that's definitely something I'm thankful for. Now, as I was putting together, or I've also been filming the videos for the Free Motion Challenge, where we're going to be learning how to quilt with these rulers, and quilting with rulers is a lot of fun. It's not difficult, but there are a lot of things to cover. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to kind of get ahead of this and put some little tutorials out before the challenge actually starts. So if you're watching and you're like, I don't know if I can quilt with rulers, it's not just the videos, we have other stuff for you. So just the other day, I had a basics of quilting with arc rulers on a sewing machine. So just a quick tutorial, like, hey, this is how we're gonna do it. This is how we're gonna hold the ruler, how we're gonna work our way around it. So that if you are a little nervous about quilting along in January, you can practice a little bit if you want to get ahead of that. I don't think that you have to have any certain skill experience to do this. This is geared towards brand new free motion quilters, as well as free motion quilters that have plenty of experience and just want some design inspiration. So that came out this week. And then next week, I'm gonna have another one, but it's gonna be on the long arm. So how do I quilt with arc rulers on a long arm? Some tips to kind of make it a little bit easier so that once we do start the video and start quilting those panels, we'll have some things to work with there. So look forward to those tutorials. I'm also planning on having a troubleshooting with rulers kind of thing. So kind of some tutorials before the actual series starts. So if you're nervous, you can kind of ease into it because it's a lot of fun. And what we're going to be doing with these rulers, I think, is really cool. So I'm excited, especially since I'm kind of in the middle of filming. So that's all I'm thinking of right now. Anyway, so that's starting in January, of course. Excited about that. But kind of along the thankful lines, Anna was like, let's do like a year in review. It's like the Spotify Wrapped idea, like what's this year been like? And I, got to tell you, I'm so thankful for all of you that watch the videos, that comment, that buy products. Like, I can't tell you how much, I can't believe I get to do this for a job. So she pulled the stats. So last year, we came up with 139 new videos. No wonder I'm tired. That includes all the things, right? Tutorials, live chats, shorts, all that kind of thing. So lots of content. I love talking about quilting, and I want everybody to love machine quilting as much as I do. And so that's just how I'm gonna try to indoctrinate everybody with it. But then I thought this was really cool, 1.1 million views over the whole year. I tell my kids all the time that people pay to hear me talk and they get the privilege for free. And they don't seem super impressed by that, but I do appreciate watching the tutorials and stuff. 400,000 views on shorts, so those are the little YouTube short videos. I think it's just really fun to do a tutorial and then kind of break it down into those little shorts, so appreciate that. And then this one, always have this soft spot in my heart, 300,000 live chat viewers. I can't tell you how much I appreciate you all signing in, watching, never really sure what I'm gonna talk about. You're like, what is she gonna say this time? Whether you're watching it live or you watch it after the fact, I can't tell you how much I love getting to do this. It's too much fun. And then 10,000 new subscribers last year. So I love it. We're starting to pull people to the dark side. Well, to the quilty side anyway. So again, just really grateful for everything that I get to do and for this whole last year, and looking forward to next year. And so even I think next one of my live chats coming up, I'll be kind of giving you some teasers into next year's stuff. So very, very excited. So definitely appreciate that. Now, before I went live, normally I get on YouTube and type chat for about a half an hour before we go live. And that's, people ask questions or we share stories. I discovered that a jackalope is a mythical creature, so did not even know what that was, so very fun. There were a couple questions that came up in the type chat, so I'm gonna answer those, and then if anybody had any questions, Jessica can give those to me. So Louise asked a question that I've also kind of talked about a couple weeks ago. How do I get my quilting mojo back? It's like I'm just burnt out, it's so hard. And I kind of joked a little bit, not joked, but I said I should do a whole live chat about that, so I will. But I will say, and one of the things I said during that live chat is, when your quilting mojo is gone, when you just feel kind of like burnt out, just give yourself the grace and some space to relax. I used to feel like it was never going to come back, and that was kind of sad, but it does. It's like depending on what's going on in your life. But I do think little things can really help. Like I think I said a couple weeks ago, cleaning out your quilting room, starting a new project. I mean, let's be honest, quilters are good at that anyway. But to add to that, I think taking a class is a great option. Nothing that's scary, just something fun. Make a little project, or maybe set up a sew day with some friends. I think sometimes for me, being an extrovert, I know it's shocking, right? You're like, what? Angel's an extrovert? For me, being an extrovert, sometimes I want to be around people. And so having some sew days, I don't really get a lot done, but it is a lot of fun. So I'm sorry that you're going through that, Louise, but I promise, just give yourself some space and it will get better for sure. All right, Dee asked a great question. She said, what are some other projects for quilted fabric besides pillows? And we have just wrapped up the whole Season's Greetings video series where we quilted that, Christmas panel, and we made some different projects out of it. And in the video series, we did pillows and stockings and a zipper pouch. But there are so many different things, and I kind of wrote down some quick ideas, but if you're watching and you have some great ideas for quilted projects, leave them in the comments, because I know that quilters are very clever with that. But I thought, clothing is really big, quilted clothing. I personally have not made quilted clothing, but I think that would be neat if you want to do that. Gift bags or fabric baskets. I mean, it's the perfect little holder, like just a cute little bag to put a present in, and then a little fabric basket. Then the usual, table stuff, placemats, mug rugs, coasters, table runners, all that kind of stuff, especially if they're double-sided, because you can flip them over if they get dirty. And then I put on here a pencil pouch or little gifty stuff like that, so lots of fun. And then somebody mentioned in the type chat an ottoman, and I was like, that sounds amazing. It sounds very big, but very amazing. So I'd love to see that if somebody wants to do that. All right, another question that came up in the type chat, and I thought was fun, was Teresa asked, how do I name my rulers, or what came up with that? So I do have rulers with creative grids, and if you've seen or using my rulers, you notice they have some funny names. So this started with creative grids. When my first set of rulers came out, we decided to name them something non-threatening and something kind of fun. The idea being that some quilters are nervous about quilting with rulers the first time, but if you're quilting with Slim, you really can't be nervous. Like Slim is your best bud. He's not threatening. So the names either came from what they look like or what they do. So Slim, obviously, I just love saying Slim. So then sometimes it's, like I said, what they look like. So Shelly, so clamshell. Shelly, I thought sounded better than clammy. So I thought that was kind of fun. This is one of my favorites, Shorty. Shorty. Again, he's a short little guy. So just some of the rulers just have different ideas. Taj, because it looks like Taj Mahal, I thought, kind of the shape. Now this one I thought was fun. So Elvira, I wanted to name her Marilyn, name it Marilyn, for Marilyn Monroe, because she's curvy. And they said, well, what about Elvira? So we were kind of going off the curvy look. But sometimes the name comes from like what it does. So an example of that would be the Sid ruler. So Sid is great for stitching in the ditch. And Sid is just the acronym I would use when you're talking about it. So Sid gets its name from stitching in the ditch. So that's kind of how I come up with the names. What I love about it, it's not as stressful as like naming kids, right? But it's a lot of fun to come up with the names for that. So, and then like Smiley, make it look like a smiley. So it's kind of fun coming up with those. But I thought that was a fun question. I don't think I've been asked that one before. And then last, Tracy said, why does my ruler foot squeeze the quilt? Now, in the troubleshooting video I'm going to put together, one of the things very common with ruler feet is if you put one on your machine, sometimes it's too low or it's lower than the foot you had on there before. So some ruler feet have the ability to adjust the height. So try adjusting the height of the foot so that it's up a little bit more. Basically, if it's too low, it's going to be really hard to push that quilt sandwich through there. It's going to be like, you know, there's not enough clearance. But if you raise it up too high, you might get skipped stitches because that foot needs to compress the layers of fabric together to make the stitch. So what I usually suggest is raise it up a little bit and test, raise it up a little bit and test, and if it starts skipping, then lower it back a little bit more. Hopefully that makes sense. Again, I'm going to do that whole troubleshooting thing, and we'll definitely talk about that because that is a common frustration with rulers. But hopefully that helped. All right, any questions, Jessica? So I do appreciate you all hanging out. I'll be back next week with another live chat next Thursday. Love talking stuff. All right. Can I still order the Season's Greetings panel or the Arcs and Curves panel? The Arcs and Curves panel in January. So can I still order the panel for the Free Motion Challenge Quilting Along? Yes, you can. We still have some in stock, so you can definitely do that in January. And to learn more about the whole series, you can check out my previous videos or just go to quiltingismytherapy.com, have all the details on that. All right, and then I have my giveaway winners. Again, everybody, I appreciate you watching and hanging out with me. I know this is kind of a quicker live chat, but next week we'll definitely dive more into quilting. So for the Fillers Free Motion Bundle, Tracy Morgan is the winner. So Tracy, email us at customerservice@quiltingismytherapy.com. And for the floral frames, the 2 panels, it's Lorena Ryan. Lorena Ryan. So super excited about that. So send us an email with your contact information and we'll get that to you. I hope everybody stays warm, has a great rest of your week. And like I said, I'll be back next Thursday for another live chat where we'll talk about quilting and a lot of that fun favorite things. So until then, everybody, happy quilting.